Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Social Media Basics for Small Business. So glad to have everyone here, and thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy day to join me. My name is Sarah Burke, and I'm going to be your presenter today, and I'm also the content marketer at Spokal. I've been doing this job for the last 10 months, and it's been an amazing opportunity to talk to small business owners and startups all the time and, get to know what they really need. And one of the things that I get asked a lot about is social media. Now, the questions kind of range from beginners to intermediate to advanced. But what I found is that without a really good foundation with social media marketing, the intermediate and the advanced or the people who should be asking intermediate and advanced questions still have questions about the basics as well. So I decided that putting a webinar together on the basics would be super useful. Here's what we're going to look at today. So why social media is so great for small business. Again, we're going back to the basics of what exactly social media will do for your business and why it's good to be on social media. Then we'll discuss the 5 top social media platforms out there. Of course, there are loads, there are tons, but I'm just going to go through the top 5 because the chances are if you're not on social media yet for your small business, the chances are that you're going to choose one of the top 5 ones to start out with. And then I'm going to discuss what to share, how often to post, when to share it. And then I'm going to give you some actionable tips on how to actually get started with that. So I'm not just going to leave you hanging. I'm going to give you some actionable tips on how to get started with all that information. Before I jump right in, though, I just want to go through a few housekeeping details. I see a few people already asking this question. So this webinar will be recorded and you'll get a webinar sent to your inbox just a few hours after it finishes. And there's also going to be a 5 minutes at the end of the webinar, at the end of the session for Q&A. So I am presenting and hosting this all on my lonesome today. So if you're asking questions, I'm not ignoring you. I will get to them at the end of the webinar and feel free to write them as we're going, but just to let you know that I'm not definitely get to those questions at the end. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about why social media is so great for your business. So this is one of these really, really important questions that we have to ask and we have to get answers to, because if you're not convinced that social media will benefit your business, then you'll probably be less likely to devote the time and the energy to it that it needs. So when you understand the value that it can give you, then you'll start to really, really devote the resources to it that's necessary for it to give you an amazing return on your investment, I guess. So the first reason that social media is so great for your small business is that everyone is on it. So this isn't normally a great reason to do anything, I know. Just because someone jumps off a bridge does not mean that you should. But the thing is with marketing anyways, if your audience is there and your competition is there, then you should be too. And if you're not, you're just missing a huge opportunity to market your business. So 87% of B2Bs and 86% of B2Cs are already on social media. And people are on social media to ask questions, to get information, to have conversations. So if you're not there to answer those questions, to give that information, and to have those conversations, then you can guarantee that your competition is, because most of them are there ready and waiting to take those questions and have those conversations. 89% of 18 to 29-year-olds and 82% of 30 to 49-year-olds are on social media. So again, that's a huge percentage of the population. And what I get a lot from business owners who aren't on social media or who aren't sure that they should be on social media is that they don't think that their audience is there. The chances are they are. The chances are, if you haven't seen them there, that you are not on the right platform. But they usually are on social media in one form or another somewhere on the internet. So it's fine if you haven't found them yet, but it's definitely not a reason not to be on social media. Social media also guides purchasing decisions. So consumers are 71% more likely to make a purchase based on social media referrals. And out of 53% of consumers who said they use Twitter to recommend companies or products in their tweets, 48% actually bought that product or service. 74% of consumers rely on social networks to guide purchasing decisions. So these are all cold, hard facts. Social media definitely guides purchasing decisions. When people recommend and talk about products or services on Twitter, they're buying it. When people are doing some research for a product, they go to social network to help them guide them in that purchasing decisions. And people are very, very likely to take people up on referrals that they get on social media too. So like I said, consumers are 71% more likely to make a purchase based on a social media referral. So this isn't just about, oh yeah, you know, people look at them and they think about it. No, the fact is that they are definitely more likely to make a purchasing or a final purchase based on social media. So social media also encourages word of mouth. So before the internet was around, before, you know, we had social media, we used to talk to our neighbors and our friends, you know, over the backyard fence or over the phone. Like there'd be a verbal dialogue. So there was almost no way to document it. It just happened. It was very, very organic. Social media is also a very, very organic place, and it's where a lot of word of mouth happens nowadays. So 81% of US online consumers' purchasing decisions are influenced by their friends' social media posts. 43% of consumers are more likely to buy a new product when learning about it on social media. So again, we're talking about people who are talking on social media, just having very organic conversations with their friends, with their family. And they use this as word of mouth. This is the same thing that's happening when we're having conversations with our friends and family, and they're saying, oh yeah, I bought this new fence from the hardware store down the road, and it's absolutely amazing, and you need to pick up this fence, and oh my god, they have a discount this weekend, you should go. That's the same thing as happening on social media. It feels like an organic conversation to people who are on Facebook. The people who are on Twitter feel like they're having an organic conversation because they are. So that's where word of mouth really happens. And the final reason that social media is so great for business is that it helps with SEO, and especially for small businesses who are trying to get you know, a leg up in the game. Social media is a really handy way for small businesses to do this, because being on social media doesn't require a huge budget. So it's an area where small businesses can almost compete on an even playing field. Of course, you know, big businesses have the like dedicated team, but still social media has a very low entry to barrier or barrier to entry. And so it does help SEO as well, which is amazing. So more and more we're seeing this every year happen, where likes, shares, tweets, plus ones, etc., are being used by search engine bots as a kind of ranking system. So they're looking at that, and if your content's getting a lot of attention and engagement on social media, they will rank that higher in search engine results pages. So how does social media actually work? So we know that it's great for business, but how? You know, what's happening there that's so amazing for your business? And understanding this will help you in how you create content and how you share and how you talk and how you engage on social media. So imagine that this is your website. So a customer comes in and, you know, as usual, I'm sure they have this amazing experience with you. And what's happening more and more is that the customer is keeping in touch via social media afterwards. You know, they want to read your content. They want to keep up to date with the discounts or coupons that are happening. And that gives you another opportunity to engage with them again. So, you know, this keeps your business top of their mind. You can give them coupons, promotions, discounts, interesting content, whatever it is. You're staying fresh in their mind and you're giving them another amazing experience. And that means that they are more likely to return to your store. The second function of social media is that it drives social visibility. So as your original customer is engaging with your content, their audience or their circles, their social circles are seeing that they're engaging with this content, and therefore they're seeing you, and with that comes new prospects, and with new prospects hopefully comes new customers. So as you can see that there's two circles here happening. There's two functions to social media. And the first is retaining that customer and making sure that you're making them a lifelong customer. And the second function is generating new customers. So which social media platform is best for your business? You can't be on them all. There's a lot out there. And I definitely don't have time to go through them all either. So I'm just going to go through the top 5 social media platforms, which are Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. And the chances are if you're brand new to social media and you don't have a platform set up for any of these yet, you're going to choose one of these 5. So that's kind of why I chose the top 5. So let's start with Facebook. Facebook is the most popular social media network out there. Everyone is on it. Well, 1.4 billion people are on it anyways, which is a lot of people. They're looking for text posts, visuals, memes, and videos, anything that's entertaining, anything that's interesting, anything educational. And that's what makes Facebook amazing for sharing textual content, visual content, videos. And it's used by B2Bs, B2Cs, and nonprofits for marketing purposes. So any types of businesses or any kinds of businesses can kind of effectively market on Facebook. The second most popular platform is Twitter. It has a lot of users with 650 million. They tend to be a little bit younger, but their income tends to be a little bit higher. People go on Twitter to learn about updates and trends and news. It's a very, very fast-moving platform. So this is where you'll hear all the newest and most up-to-date information. You know, this is where trends go to be born. So it's really good for sharing news and original and curated content. Like Facebook, B2Bs, B2Cs, nonprofits are all quite active on the platform and can market themselves quite effectively. LinkedIn, however, is a little bit more specific. It's a business-oriented social media platform, and it has 300 million people on it, but they're only on it for about 4 hours or less a week. People go on LinkedIn to learn about industry news, tips, advice, just general business-related content. And because of this, it's become a great place for thought leadership. So by that, I mean, to become a thought leader, LinkedIn is a really, really effective medium for that. And it's also a really amazing place to read content by thought leaders. And interestingly, I read a piece of content today that stated that 40% of LinkedIn's revenue is now coming from the content that's created there. So it's definitely like a really amazing hub for creating content and getting to know thought leaders and becoming one yourself. And kind of obvious, it's used mostly by B2Bs. Google Plus has an audience of 550 million active users, not just 550 million active users. And they're mostly male and they're mostly professionals. It's like Facebook in that people look for all kinds of content there. So, you know, news, links, textual content, blog posts, videos, images, they all work really effectively because they're all displayed quite well. It's best for increasing your expertise and searchability. So in terms of increasing your expertise, it's an amazing place to, you know, you can join G+ communities and read content from your specific industry there. And searchability, because Google Plus is obviously Google's social media platform. And if you get a lot of attention on Google Plus, Google rewards you by, again, pushing you up those SEO ranks. It's used mainly by B2Bs and B2Cs at the moment. Pinterest is another niche social media platform with 80% of its 17 million users being female. Pinterest is all about visuals, so photos of products and infographics work really well. It's mostly used by B2Cs, so it's very consumer facing, although there are a few B2Bs that I've seen effectively market on it too. And of course, there are plenty of other social media platforms out there. For example, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, Snapchat, Tumblr, Too. And sometimes these alternative social media platforms can actually work better for businesses than more popular sites. So the chances are you're going to choose one of the 5 more popular sites, but it doesn't do any harm to do some research and try these platforms out for personal use first, if you think that they might suit your business better. So I've spoken to a lot of businesses who are maybe a little bit more alternative and or maybe a little bit alternative and kind of, have found a lot of success with Reddit and Tumblr because it's more niche. And somebody was just asking about YouTube. For very visual products, YouTube has been amazing. If you've watched any YouTube whatsoever, you'll have seen these vloggers or YouTubers that have made careers out of being on YouTube. So, and YouTube goes really well with, Instagram and Pinterest. So very, very visual platforms that are extremely effective. So I went through the top 5 in detail, but definitely there are alternatives that you should check out. And again, use these for personal use and at first and see how you feel and how you experience it as an end user. And then you can have a better idea how your business will fit in with it. But what do you actually say on these platforms? Now, it all depends on your business, of course. So there isn't a clear set of rules to follow. So, every time I'm talking to someone about social media and they're like, oh yeah, like I definitely want to do it, but like, I don't want to start one up and it's just sitting there and it's not doing anything. I don't know what to say. And I never want to tell someone, oh, you have to say this. Like, there is no set rules. That's just the end all and be all. There is no set rules. But that's just not very useful to you. You need a rule to start off with, which is fine. So the 5-3-2 rule is often used as a template for good social sharing etiquette. And this just means that of every 10 pieces of content that you share, 5 should be curated content from others, 3 should be your own content, and 2 should be entertaining or personal. So by curated content, this is content from another source in your industry, and a good portion of your content that you share on social media should be curated. So I always like to think of social media as, a conversation that you have at a dinner party, and a good conversationalist never just talks about themselves. They talk about other things too, right? So curated content is being a good conversationalist. It's not just talking about you, it's, joining other people into the conversation. So to find curated content, I like to look at sources such as emails, newsletters. Social media itself is amazing. And then there are some websites like Scoop.it, StumbleUpon. Medium is really great for this. Reddit, Growth Hackers, there are tons of websites that have a bunch of amazing content on it. And I kind of go, like, everyone's like, oh, what's your favorite place to find amazing content? I go through phases. Sometimes my email box is amazing. Like I go into my inbox and I have found the best content. I don't need to go anywhere else. At other times, I am absolutely head over heels for Medium right now. I just think the content there is amazing. So I've done a lot of my curation past few days on Medium, and Growth Hackers is the same. So yeah, just kind of go through phases of different things, really. And don't forget, when you're sharing content from somebody else, to mention them in the post. So that's super important because you want to build relationships with these people. So it's not just about, mention or, sharing their content and they never know that you've shared it. Again, we're talking about having conversations and bringing these people into the conversations. So you have to tag them. You have to mention them in the post so that they know they're talking about, that you're talking with them. 30% of your content should be your own content, but by that I don't mean salesy. So it's not just always pushing your own product. So I was talking to one business that is on YouTube. I'm going back to YouTube now, which somebody was asking about, but I was talking to one business about YouTube before, and they sell hair extensions. And I was asking, it's like how effective has your YouTube been for that, and what's the key? And they told me that the key was to not really talk about their hair extensions. And I was like, oh, so how do people know to buy from you then? Like, they just do. They'll see the hair extensions, maybe if you're using the product. If they've seen a few of your videos, they start to recognize your name and wonder, who is this? They just pick up on it. But the thing is, people don't like being sold to, especially not very, very obviously. So when your content is just amazing, when it is just valuable, people will pick up on what you're selling or what you would like to be selling anyways. And personalize it. Again, people are looking for quality content. They're looking for content that's actually interesting to them and actually useful to them. So personalize it, and definitely humanize it a bit. It's no good when you just headline plus link all the time. It gets a little bit boring, and people start to kind of filter that out. And again, visuals are a huge thing. If you include visuals with your social sharing, they will get more engagement. And that is just a proven fact. And it's been proven time and time again, even on platforms like Twitter, where images aren't that effective because, they're not highlighted that well. Visuals still get more attention. So as much as you possibly can, use visuals. And 20% of your content should be personal or entertaining. So thoughts on life, quotes, satirical cartoons, jokes, statistics, anything that's just a little bit off topic or a little bit less serious. So when to post, tweet, or share. Kind of like the 5-3-2 rule, this is just a guide. This is definitely just a guide that you test and you tweak and you see what works best for you. So for Facebook, it's advisable to post about 3 times a week. And I know this doesn't sound like a lot, and every time I've said this, everyone's been like, that's nothing, because for personal use, we tend to share a lot more on Facebook. But for a business, 3 times a week seems to be the good amount to post, because, Facebook really is for family and friends. And if you plug yourself too much on Facebook, people are going to stop paying attention and maybe block you. Twitter is fast, so you can post anywhere from 18 minutes to 2 hours without annoying anyone, and people expect to be marketed to on Twitter, so you don't have to worry about it as much. Pinterest as much as you want. Google Plus 1 to 2 times per day. I've posted more and I haven't seen any bad results from that. If not, I've gotten more engagement. So this is kind of one of those things that a lot of the G+ superstars have said, but I'm not sure how much it's been tested. And LinkedIn themselves suggest that you post 20 times a month, which is, if you do the maths, is like 5 times a week, which is like 1 post per weekday. But they say 20 times a month and you'll reach 60% of your connections. So that's a pretty good number. So I've given you a lot of information. I know how to get started. Obviously, you're not going to pick all 5 platforms and just start working on all 5 of them. That's just unrealistic, and the chances are you're not going to keep it up consistently. So I wouldn't suggest that. I would suggest just choosing one. You've probably leaned towards one already, but just to solidify your choices or your decision, I've created a pro and con list for the top 5 ones. If you're choosing an alternative one, or one that's less mainstream, like Instagram, Pinterest, or Instagram, or like YouTube or Reddit, you can create your own list. So for Facebook, there's a lot of people and everyone loves to share on it, which is amazing for marketing. And because most people are on Facebook, there's this ease of communication that happens in terms of customer service. So you can easily talk to your audience. In terms of cons, it's quite noisy, so it can be hard to be heard through everything else and everyone. And it doesn't help that there's a low organic reach. So unless you're paying for ads or paying to boost your posts, not all of your followers will even see your posts. So it's definitely one of the big things with marketing on Facebook that people find very annoying, is that not everyone who follows them will even see what they're sharing. Twitter, on the other hand, is noisy, but that's why people love it. Tweets are really easy and quick because they're only 140 words. And Twitter for marketing, 49% of people prefer to hear from businesses on Twitter. So, it is amazing for marketing. In terms of cons, Twitter is really fast, so you have to post quite often in order for it to be effective. And it isn't great for image-based content. So like I said, when you share an image, even with Twitter, it does get better engagement, but it doesn't really highlight that product or graphic too much. Google Plus is an amazing place to talk to a super targeted audience. So like I said before, Google Plus communities are amazing, and you can join specific ones in your industry. And when you share content there, you can be guaranteed that everyone is interested in your posts. Google Plus engagement can have a positive effect on your SEO as well. The cons are that it's pretty quiet there, and it has a bit of a bad rep for almost copying Facebook. So a lot of people are tempted to share the exact same content they do on Google Plus as they do on Facebook, which isn't a good idea. Never cross-platform. A lot of people don't really love it either. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship I've noticed with Google. So people who love it tend to talk it up a lot. People who hate it tend to talk it down a lot. LinkedIn has a really large organic reach. So you put content there, the chances are people will see it. And it establishes credibility with connections so that they see that you are a credible and trustworthy business. On the negative side of things, it's a small niche and slow to set up and get going. So you don't see a lot of results from the get-go. You have to be a little bit more persistent with it. Pinterest, the positive, is a huge positive, especially if you are a B2C, in that it gets more referral traffic than Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, and Google Plus combined. It's very, very consumer focused and consumer facing. Another positive is that your pins stay active for a long period of time. So the content that you put there stays useful for so long, even as you're adding new stuff. The bad side of things is that it's a small niche and B2Bs aren't really that successful on it yet. I have seen a few, but it's not the norm. It's also more effective for businesses who actually have a product that they can take high quality photos with, or of, sorry. Okay, now I know what social media platform I want to start with. Now what? So as you can see, there are a lot of social media platforms out there. And the top 5 platforms that I've named today have separate personal pages from their business pages, except for Twitter. So anything that you're setting up on social media for your business, there is a separate business page, except for Twitter. On Twitter, you can create a business handle, or you can use your personal Twitter handle to promote your business. I've seen people do both things. I don't know which is necessarily better, and I don't think there is any specific information out there on which one is necessarily better. So it's just down to you on what you prefer. So you create your business page, and then you spend time thoroughly filling out that page. So that's contact details. Your About Me section is so important to let people get to know who you are and build up that trust factor. And then profile photos and cover photos, really give off an impression of professionalism. So definitely don't leave those blank, fill those in before you start sharing those social media links everywhere. And then once you've done that, add the social media links to your website or your emails, and just kind of places where your customers will touch point with you. So in emails where you've maybe sent them a confirmation of purchase, it's definitely a good idea to have your social media links at the bottom of those kind of emails. And yeah, just anywhere that you kind of touch base with your customers is a great place to ask them to also keep in touch with you via social media. So once your business page is all set up and you're ready to start posting, the easiest and most manageable way to do this is in batches. So by that, I mean scheduling all of your social sharing for the day or the week or the month in one go. And this way you'll be consistently sharing content without having to take the time out of every single day to do so. So on weekends, or if you're on holidays, or if you're just busy in meetings, you're still sharing content on a regular basis. So there are tons of tools that help you automate your social sharing. For example, Buffer, Spokal has this tool, IFTTT, Social Oomph, and Hootsuite. They're all amazing tools. Most of them have free basic plans or a free trial, so you can test it out before you get going with it. So it really is down to personal preferences and, trying them out and see which one you like the best. And so we've reached the end of the webinar. And just to sum it all up and give you 4 key points that I'd love you to take away with you. Do your research and choose just one platform to get started. You can move on to the others after that, but just one to get started. Fill out your profile as thoroughly as you can. Use the 5-3-2 rule and the timing guide as a template to get started. I can't emphasize this enough. They are not set in stone. These rules are almost made to be broken. If something else works for you, that's fine. It's all about testing it and seeing what works best for you and your audience, nobody else. Create a posting schedule and use social automation tool to share your content throughout the week. This is where you will learn how to be really, really consistent and how to come across as very, very professional. So it's very important that you have a social media automation tool so that you can share content all the time. And it does help with having the same voice. Okay, so thanks for watching. I'm going to open up the floor for questions now. So we have one question there. How do you get new followers? So I get asked this question a lot, actually. And I see some people are asking, how do you get new followers on Twitter and how do you get new followers on Facebook? And my biggest tip is to start having conversations, especially when you first start out with social media. Just have conversations, follow a lot of people. Don't necessarily plug your own products when you start off. Like, just share other people's content, have those conversations. If you're on Twitter, Twitter chats are amazing. Like, really, Twitter chats are where you get to know a lot of people. So you go on a Twitter chat, and if you answer questions and people like your answers, you'll gain a lot of followers from that, and you can also add a lot of followers for that. So that's really been a huge tool. If you're on Google Plus, they have Google Plus communities, and you just get involved in those communities, and you just have conversations. I don't think anyone can see each other in the chat box. I'm not sure why that is. Webinar Jam have a new webinar studio, and there's a few kinks. So Jacob has mentioned that, yeah, he can't see anyone. I don't know if that's everyone or it's just a few people. So sorry about that. If there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the box there. Is it a good idea to hire someone to handle your social media accounts? It is and it isn't. If you have the budget, of course, like, why wouldn't you want to have more, like, people monitoring it throughout the day? But it's not necessary. The thing is, with social media, it's amazing for small business because you don't necessarily have to have somebody on it all day to be monitoring it. You can actually do this in your own time. And that's why I really, really recommend the social media automation tool. Like, I spend half an hour every morning sharing posts, curating posts and sharing our own content on all our social media sites. And I do that through social media automation. And then I don't have to go back on to any of our social media sites throughout the day. Now, I have a tip for staying engaged, even though I'm not on it all day, that I'll explain in a little bit. But you don't necessarily need to have somebody hired, like a specific social media expert hired to help you run these social media websites. You just need to spend a little bit of time, a little bit of dedication out of every day to make sure that you're sharing posts when and how often you'd like to. Somebody was saying there that they have a niece that wants to intern with them. If you can trust them to keep your, the company's voice in line with what you'd like it to be, if you can trust them to be polite and professional, it's definitely, that is worth giving them that little bit of experience, especially nowadays where, social media is such a huge thing. So having social media experience is amazing, but only if you can trust them. Again, this is your business's brand and its presentation that's on the line here. So if you can trust her, yeah, go ahead. Any other questions? Oh yeah, someone is reminding me, how do I stay engaged if I'm not on social media all day? So what I do is I am, like, one of the biggest platforms for us is Twitter. First Vocal is Twitter. So what I do is I have all our notifications saved onto my phone. So I have all the settings saved so that I get all the notifications on my phone for particular things. So if you mention us directly, if you share a specific type of content, et cetera, I have those boxes checked on my phone so that throughout the day I get alerts when this engagement is happening. And if it is engagement that I need to engage with straight away, I will go on to Twitter and engage with that. If it's something that can wait, I'll allow it to wait. So that way, while my day is not really broken up by constantly checking it, I am getting alerted to anything that's kind of happening that needs my attention. Okay, so I think that's all the questions that I've been asked. If I missed any, or if you just didn't think of the question fast enough to get to me, please feel free to send me an email. Just reply to any of the webinar emails that you got for this session, and I will get back to you ASAP. So until we meet again, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you the best of luck with your social media marketing.